A mistake I made early on in my career was second guessing my gut instinct, trying to understand what they want in the room rather than going with what I felt was right and making a strong decision. I think it's always important to, start at a strong note and then see how or what happens in the room because of that. And understanding that it's not about getting the job, it's about making those connections.
I think most directors make this mistake, or at least that's what I tell myself. I think when you're starting out as a director, you obviously, hopefully anyway, that you prep a lot before you get on set. And then once you're on set and you're in the thick of making the film, there are a lot of ideas that can fly around. Maybe it's a cinematographer who's like, maybe we should put the camera here, or maybe it's an actor who wants to do something a little bit different. And in that moment, I think when you're maybe a little bit more green, you can get swept up by an idea on the spot, and then you get to the edit and you realise maybe why you weren't going to do that. And it's not to say that you shouldn't listen to or take on board other people's ideas when you're collaborating on set. It's more that I think as the director, you're the litmus test for the story, and perhaps the more experienced you get and the more you've made some of these little mistakes, the better you get at kind of being guided by a certain current that's right for the story, and you don't get swept away with ideas that seem exciting at the time and you later realise don't actually serve what you're trying to execute.
I think I make mistakes every day, and everyone does, and I think it's fine to make mistakes, and we should just acknowledge them and move on, acknowledge them and move on. And I've done, I think, a lot of mistakes as in taking projects that I didn't need to do and I just did it for my ego, or because someone really asked me to, and you know what, if you don't feel like it, don't do it, because you won't give it 100%. So I've learned that, and I don't do things I don't want to do. And then, better things come, more interesting things come, and more aligned things come that you will want to do, and you will give it 1,000%, because you can't spread yourself too thin. Be very choosy. That's what I always say to everyone. And to myself every time when I'm thinking, should I do this or not?
I think the mistake I made early on in my career was saying yes to everything. And I think there's a lot of power in saying no and asserting your boundaries and what you are willing to do and not do. And it won't impact you negatively. Like, I think there's this, when you're a young actor, you just have to say yes to everything, and there's this like expectation to do that. But I think learning to say no and learning kind of what your taste is and what you like is just your greatest power.
A mistake that I made earlier on in my career. Oh, you'll make many mistakes. Biggest mistake I made was kind of listening to other people telling me what I should be doing next, or what I should be seen as doing, or even be seen as like what you should be seen as wearing, which for me, I'm an actor and I'm not a model. And sometimes you can get, I think especially in the age of like social media, you can get really caught up in kind of like the optics of like looking super successful, and I just don't subscribe to that, and I don't think you should, because the industry is stressful enough. So people sort of saying, this is what you should be doing, why aren't you doing this next? I always try and lead from doing what I want, and normally what I want is something that's going to be fun, and that might not be the shiniest thing, the loudest thing, but I'm really proud of my career so far, so I think I'm doing all right.
A mistake that I made early on in my career was trying to fit into expectations in terms of my artistic work that just didn't fit with who I actually am. I felt very compelled to make kind of realistic, edgy illustrations, concept work, stuff that was a little bit grimdark, and I'm just not that. I'm a person that loves making warm spaces for people, a sense of home, a sense of place, something stylized, something glowy, sunny, joyful, and leaning into that has only resonated with other people. They can see the joy that I feel through what I've made, and that's perfect for me.
In terms of mistakes,
Everything that you make in the games industry is so experimental. That blend of creativity and technology has never been done before. So there are no real mistakes. You just learn how to do it better next time.
I don't really see things as mistakes so much, but maybe a lack of wisdom for sure. I spent a lot of my career traveling for work, and I did a lot of it alone. And I think if I was to do it all again, I'd bring my closest people with me.
I made so many mistakes starting out. I think the main one, the biggest mistake I made starting out is focusing way too much on my career alone and not allowing regular life to play a part. I'm now married, I have children, I am settled down inside myself, and I regret not having done it 20 years earlier. I could have had the same approach to my work the whole time. And I think my advice to everybody is don't let life pass you by while you're trying to go after your career. The career is not everything. Your life is everything. Your career comes from that.
Oh, good Lord, how many mistakes have I made at the beginning of my career and still continue to make? I think one of the biggest ones was I was really, really desperate to be known as an actor, not a disabled actor. And I made a really big song and dance about that at the start of my career. But I'm actually really proud to be known as a disabled actor now, because I think it solidifies part of my purpose in the industry as well, to help raise awareness and representation for disabled people in an industry that has not been great to disabled people in the past. So yeah, I won't be correcting people if they want to call me a disabled actor in the future.